Now to our second story, lawyers representing Egypt's Muslim Brotherhood say they've submitted a formal complaint to the International Criminal Court, the ICC. The complaint is related to the overthrow of former President Mohamed Morsi by Egypt's military-led government. It accuses the regime of crimes against humanity during the crackdown on protesters. Our correspondent Isa Ali attended a press conference in London where the lawyers announced their decision.
Following the overthrow of Egypt's former President Mohamed Morsi by the military last summer, representatives of his Muslim Brotherhood in London have announced that they have formally lodged a complaint with the International Criminal Court, the ICC. At the press conference held behind me at this central London hotel, lawyers acting on behalf of the Brotherhood's Freedom and Justice Party, the FJP, outlined a series of allegations against the interim government led by General Sisi. The allegations include murder, torture and the disappearance of Brotherhood activists.
The allegations are that following the coup, crimes were committed against civilians who were involved in protest actions, also that civilians have been detained unlawfully and have been tortured and mistreated from then right up until now. That's the substance of the complaint.
Following mass protests against his government, Morsi was removed from power by General Sisi on the 3rd of July last year and placed under arrest. However, when supporters of Morsi came out to the streets for their own mass protests, they were met with deadly force by the army. The ICC's scope of investigation can cover violence committed by both sides.
The jurisdiction concerns any allegations of any crimes committed by any party following the coup in July. All sides could be investigated.
If an investigation is opened, certain officials may find themselves on the receiving end of an arrest warrant.
That international arrest warrant has a very particular role, and what that means is that countries that are parties to the ICC will then have to act on that arrest warrant. So if people from Egypt who are named in that arrest warrant travel to their jurisdiction, they can be arrested, prosecuted in those national countries, and in some cases transferred to The Hague to be prosecuted there.
The members of the legal team are expected to meet with the ICC prosecutors over the coming days and weeks. During the meeting, they will see what steps the court can take to deal a blow to the international legitimacy of General Sisi and his current interim government. Isa Ali, Press TV, London.
For more on this, let's go to Irvine and talk to Professor David Kay, Professor of International Law. Welcome, sir. Professor, just how much is there that the ICC can do, and in return, will the Egyptian military listen?
The very first question is whether the International Criminal Court will even accept the complaint. Now, there are a variety of ways in which a situation of massive human rights abuses can get to the ICC. One is if the country is a party to the ICC. That is, ratified the Rome Statute to the International Criminal Court. Egypt has not done that. Another route it would be for the UN Security Council to refer Egypt, to refer the situation of, say, the past year or since the summer to the ICC, and the UN Security Council hasn't done that, and it's not going to do that. And then the third way, the one that Morsi's advisors or Muslim Brotherhood advisors are suggesting here, is that a government can accept the jurisdiction of the court for some narrow purpose or for a specific situation. And the argument that the lawyers are making on behalf of Morsi's government or his alleged government is that Morsi remains the legitimate president. The Muslim Brotherhood remains the legitimate government of Egypt, and therefore it has the power, it has the authority to refer itself to accept the jurisdiction of the court. And so the question for the ICC is going to be, can it accept that statement by Morsi and by the Muslim Brotherhood, or is the existing government, the one that came to power in the coup last July, is that the legitimate government, and is that the entity that truly has to accept the jurisdiction in order for there to be a case there? My own view is that the Muslim Brotherhood has a very, very steep hill to climb here, in that given the fact that so many governments have been treating the government of General Sisi as the legitimate government of Egypt, it will be very difficult for the court to say, no, the Muslim Brotherhood is the legitimate government of Egypt. It's very difficult to imagine the ICC doing that when so many governments have not done it. It puts it into a very political position.
And in general, how do you see the situation in Egypt? Why do you think the revolution got out of hand?
Well, that's a question really for an expert on Egypt and Egyptian politics. I mean, I think that putting aside why it got out of hand and how it got out of hand, I think it's very clear that massive human rights abuses occurred, particularly in July of last year at the time of the coup, with killings of protesters on the streets of Cairo and elsewhere by the government. And so, at the substantive level, at the level of, the question being, are there violations of human rights in Egypt today, and were there over the summer? I think there's very little question that's true. It's an entirely different question to ask whether those violations are subject to an international criminal process like the ICC.
All right, Professor David Kay from Irvine, thanks for your thoughts there, sir.